the problem with British light heavyweights that no one is talking about. Now, there are various British light heavyweights that are good. You have Anthony Yarde, who has the speed, the power, and the excitement. He can compete at championship level, but objectively, he's not a champion. Then you have Craig Richards, also known as Spider. Good jab, good backhand. He's tall, he can control the distance, and again, he can compete at championship level. Then you have Joshua Buatsi, and he has good work rate, it's a good body puncher, and he sets those little traps. And I would say these fighters are good fighters, but the problem is that they're good fighters, right? So it's like when you define a fighter, is he British level, is he Commonwealth level? They've surpassed that. They definitely can beat top 10 fighters in the division, but are they good enough to be a champion? Because there's a difference between a contender and a champion. And based on the performances, you would say that those three fighters are just below championship level. And here's a problem. The top three are, I would say, Bivol, Butterbiev, and Benavidez. And those top three are elite. Maybe the jury's out on Benavidez. We don't know how good he is, but we know that Bivol is really good, a technical master. We know that Butterbiev is really good. So here's the problem. In another division, Yarde, Buatsi, and Craig Richards, maybe they could be champions. Maybe they could win a portion of the title. Think of it like this. Say in football, you have different leagues. You have like the Premiership, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. It's like they're in the Premiership, but they're numbers 4, 5, and 6. And as opposed to being number 1, because obviously number 1, it doesn't look like anyone can beat Bivol at the moment. And apart from Bivol, it looks like no one can beat Butterbiev. And then Benavidez is looking incredible. The issue is that our British guys are really good, but the elite guys are on another level. You know, you look at our British guys and, you know, they'll win the British title, they'll win the Commonwealth title, they'll beat top 10 fighters, but can they compete with the Benavidezes of this world? And when you look at Anthony Yarde, we got an answer to that. And Anthony Yarde is a really good fighter. And I really like Anthony Yarde. I think he's very likable, and I think he's got championship experience, and I think he's had a good career. But when he fought Benavidez was on a different level. He couldn't cope with the pressure. And, you know, Benavidez respectfully totally brutalized him. And I would say that if you put Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith, or Spider in with these guys, I don't know if there would be a different outcome, even though these are good fighters. What I'm trying to say here is that you can be a good fighter and be destroyed. You get destroyed by Benavidez doesn't mean you're a good fighter. But it's important to realize that our British guys, they deserve respect because there's levels, and it's hard to be a British champion. It's hard. It's hard to be a European champion, and it's hard to be top 10 fighters. So this isn't any disrespect towards them. But let's talk about Callum Smith. Now, Callum Smith is a former world champion, and I think he used to have one of the best left hook counters in the game. He really did. And even today, he has diversity with that left hook. He can double it to the head. He can throw it head and into the body, or he can go body, head. There's so much diversity and punch creativity with his left hand. And Callum Smith, a former world champion, has shown that he has high ring IQ. I thought his performance against George Groves was absolutely astounding. He was so dominant against a good champion. Now, I believe that there was context. I believe that George Groves may have been injured, but still, it was a dominant performance. The way he got the distance and dominated the fight, and the counter left hooks, and I believe there was a left hook to the body. They were devastating punches. And I would say if you put Callum Smith in his prime, he's definitely world level. He's capable of winning belts, even with this elite light heavyweight division. On his day, he can win. However, Callum Smith of today is good, but I don't think he would have the punch resistance to compete with Benavidez. He has the IQ, he has the boxing ability, he has the knowledge, but he probably doesn't have the punch resistance to compete. And obviously we have a reference point, which is what happened with the Butterbiev fight. Now, I don't know if there was context to that fight. I don't know if he had a bad camp or, if he had an injury or whatnot, but he was thoroughly beaten in that performance. And again, it just seems there's a difference between the elite, or there's a difference between the top of the division and the rest. And that difference is very significant. But it's important to recognize here that the problem isn't that we haven't got quality fighters. That is not the problem. The problem is that the people on the top are just so elite. And this is not a trainer issue. For example, Callum Smith, he has Buddy McGirt, well-respected trainer. Buatsi has Virgil Hunter, well-respected trainer. So this isn't a training issue, which would make you think it's not a boxing environment issue. And on the flip side, there is a British boxing ecosystem that's flourishing. Let me explain. Because there's many good British light heavyweight fighters, these British fighters, they can fight each other, they can generate good money, and these exciting fights can get exposure. So they've got, even if you can't compete at the elite level or win at the compete level, they can compete, but maybe not win at the elite level. There's still this British ecosystem where people can eat, and the boxing fans and the casual fans can be happy. And a good reference to that is the Liam Smith-Buatsi fight, which I thought was an amazing fight. There's a caveat again to this, because even though we have an elite at the British light heavyweight division, let's remember that even the elite fighters can be beaten on any given day, whether someone, comes in, underestimates their opponent, whether they have an injury, whether their reflexes are gone, or whether father time comes. Upsets are always possible. So it's not impossible, but as it stands, the levels are significantly different. But still, we have good British light heavyweights, very good British light heavyweights. And I'm very interested to see the development of Callum Smith, because I feel that he definitely has shown he objectively has operated at world level. And there's other questions when we talk about these elite operators. For example, how long has Bivol got left? I think he's returning from an injury. So how long has he got left in the game? How long has Butterbiev got left? I'm not sure what age he is. I think he might be, I know he's on the other side of 30, maybe approaching 40. And I think he's had some knee problems. So there is a prospect that in a couple of years, that Bivol and Butterbiev are maybe not operating within the boxing hemisphere. However, you still have Benavidez, and obviously there is the potential that Benavidez might go up. And if that happens, if those three fighters leave the division, then this British ecosystem, these British light heavyweights have a very good chance of becoming world champions. But this is the problem that they have. It's not that they're not good. They are good, really good fighters, but they're up against elite fighters.